irreversible damages in business and life. There are things that happens in our life. If it happens, it entirely changes the course of our life. And once that happens, we cannot change it anymore. And I'm going to give you numerous examples of things in life and 3 examples of those in your business, and to find a way to avoid those and do something special ahead of time so that you are in a position to avoid these irreversible damages in business and possibly in life. So there are 2 types of heart attacks. For example, myocardial infarction is a type of heart attack, which is a plumbing problem for your heart. So plumbing as in you go to your toilet and you're trying to flush, there is no water because there is a circulation issue. The same way, your heart has a circulation issue. The arteries that are bringing blood to the heart are not circulating, not plumbing, not sending the liquid, the blood into heart, and heart, we call it a heart attack. Heart is not getting blood. Something that is generally reversible, but not after multiple times. After some time, heart is like, I can't do this anymore. Permanent change. Even more permanent is a cardiac arrest. A cardiac arrest or cardiac attack cannot be reversed. What happens there is, like for example, you want to wash your hands or flush your toilet, but there is no water, but you don't have a motor to turn on to get the water either. So it's an electrical problem. Electrical problem is your heart's electrical system is not working, and because of that, it is not pumping blood to the entire organs, including the brain and other critical vital parts of our body. So what happens? Body doesn't get oxygen through blood, and then in a few minutes, people die. Many of the people who have cardiac arrest outside of hospitals die immediately. Very few percentage of the people, come back to life because it's an irreversible damage. Because the electrical system is gone. If I don't have electricity, no matter how many times I turn on the switch, turn off the switch, the current is not going to come. Make sense? So if your business has a cardiac arrest, you cannot reverse it. It is irreversible. So what is a cardiac arrest in business? I'll explain that in a second, but I would like you to know like another thing called asthma attack. Okay, so asthma attack is same thing. You are not able to breathe in enough oxygen. Your lungs are not able to take in that oxygen and process it and coordinate with heart to send oxygen to the entire body. So asthma attack is where you are not able to breathe in. In a few minutes, people die because of that. It's done, it's over, right? And another type of critical health issue, another example is stroke. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is a health session. I thought this was a business thing. Wait for it. In a moment, it's all going to make sense to you. So brain has a stroke. A stroke can happen in multiple ways. One is like you could have an internal bleeding in your brain, or some part of your brain is not getting oxygen, same thing, blood, and because of that, a part of somebody's brain might stop working. That's a stroke. So these 3 things could happen in business too. And I'll show you exactly what asthma attack is, breathing issue is, and what is a myocardial infarction or a heart attack is, or a cardiac arrest is in business, and tell you exactly what to do to solve those problems. So imagine you are doing a $10 million business and your entire business is coming from Facebook. You have been using Facebook. Oh, what a beautiful thing. We could do cost-based advertisement, and we know that result-based advertisement. We feel good about it, and then you are depending on Facebook for business. And I know companies that are doing $100 million. They have done like probably $150 million collectively just by using Facebook. And now Facebook shut off your account, your ad account. For them, you're just a number. You're spending a lot of money on them, but they said, oh, you violated the privacy policy or advertisement policy, your account is shut off. It's almost a cardiac arrest. Why? Because you are depending on only one source of lead generation. It's a single source lead generation system. Facebook rejected you, the business is done. That's a cardiac arrest by itself, right? All of a sudden, you cannot generate any more income, and you have so many staff, so many customers, you cannot support them, and probably you could get some referral from somebody for some time to survive. You could just referral as in like artificial oxygen for some time, so that you could actually handle that and get some injection to temporarily handle it, but essentially business is gone. So that is why, have you ever thought about why we have 3 holes to breathe in? We have 1 hole here, another hole here, another bigger hole for most people, bigger hole here. We have 3 holes to breathe in oxygen. The designer who designed this whole bodily system, it's a fascinating design. It's one of the best design in the whole world. The creator, she thought that, you know what, something happens to this thing, we should have another system, right? And something happens to this thing and this thing, we should have another system to breathe in. That is why it is called a redundancy system. So if this happens, there's a fail safe. If both of this goes, or this and this goes, there is another fail safe, which means there is 3 ways to generate oxygen into business. Facebook shut off your account. If you have YouTube working for you, and if you have a traditional marketing working for you, then you're safe. It's going to affect you. It's not going to be cardiac arrest, because if you don't have enough oxygen coming in, it could get into an asthma attack, or even it could be a cardiac arrest. Either way, the point is that you will survive that because you have redundancy. You have other options to generate leads. Make sense? That is why number 1 thing that you need to understand is, to avoid all of these health issues, the number 1 thing that you need to do is to have multiple lead generation systems, not depending on one company, multiple lead generation systems, and possibly 3 lead generation systems in addition to referrals. Referrals is good to have. It's make it the 4th lead generation system, not the 3rd even. So you have 3 lead generation systems that support you so that you don't have an asthma attack or eventually a cardiac attack. Now, that takes care of the first part. So now, let's think about heart attack for a second, right? Just to generally speaking, before you have a heart attack, it's your job to take care of your weight, gain energy and lose fat and calcium in your arteries. So essentially, one of the reasons, as far as I understand, with my limited understanding, heart attack occurs is because there is calcium deposit in the arteries, especially for the first type of heart attack. That is stopping the blood circulation. The plumbing has like some wastage in it. The plumbing system is not able to circulate into the heart, right? And because of that, what happens is the heart is not able to function. The same way, so if you are curious about taking care of your heart health, and if you are completely okay, if you're going through some sort of heart type consulting with a cardiac physician, then definitely go with that. But if you don't have any health issues, I'm not a doctor, but at the same time, if you want to make sure that your heart is healthy, possibly look into doing a calcium score CT, so that you will be able to identify one of the decent predictors in identifying if you have the vulnerability of having a heart attack, which is a beautiful thing to do, especially if you're okay. If you're not okay, definitely consult with a doctor. Even if you are okay, please consult with your doctor. I'm not a doctor. But in order for your business to avoid that, number 1 thing that you need to do is you need to be analyzing, measuring. And I'll give you a long-term solution at the end, but let me give you a specific solution for this to make sure that your heart attack is prevented, is by having something called cash flow statement. So for me, oxygen is the lead generation and the blood is the cash flow, cash that is spread into the business. The business hands, the business legs, the business kidney, the business body needs blood. So what is that blood? That blood is the cash flow. So that blood is not circulated, and it's all done in the cash flow statement. Once you are able to properly, intelligently measure your cash flow, instead of focusing on revenue, which is ego, profit is myth and cash is real. So stop focusing your primary attention into revenue and profit and start focusing the primary attention into cash flow. That's when you will be able to avoid, this is your CT's calcium score, so that you're preventing a heart-related issue. So by the time you go to a cardiologist with a chest pain, it could be slightly late, right? So that's why we want to make sure that you are measuring this ahead of time with the calcium score, in this case, the cash flow score, so that you know how to handle your business. You make your decisions in your business based on that, right? Based every hiring, every firing, every investment, every marketing effort, every sales effort is based on this particular thing called cash flow statement. And I'll give you a long-term solution like I told you towards the end of the video. Now going on to the third thing, a general idea is business wellness versus business diseases. As I worked in healthcare industry as a technical manager for a healthcare company, what I understand is that healthcare wellness is 1/4 to 1/5 the cost of healthcare sickness. In other words, it takes multiple times, more than 4 times, in order for a hospital system to treat a patient who's sick. Understand this clearly in business too and in life. And that's why healthcare system is like really overwhelmed. So to treat a patient who's well is significantly cheaper. So a patient who's well, like takes care of the thing, work out and takes care of his own health, her own health. There's no need for an MRI. Here you need an MRI, you need an echo, you need a stress test, you need to do that, you need to go to emergency, all kind of expenses. If that is the case, what happens is, if you want to prevent kind of heart attack in your business, that will be much more cheaper for your business. In other words, if you do this calcium score, and the third thing that I'm going to tell you, if you have multiple lead generation systems, and if you have a system to handle stroke in your business, then you will be able to save enormous amount of money, because you are not dealing with business sickness. You're diagnosing your challenges ahead of time. And early diagnosis is another way to save money, right? Diagnosing your problems ahead of time so that you could avoid, eliminate, or significantly minimize the possibility of having irreversible changes in life, in your business. Okay, so what do you do? So let me talk about the stroke and how to handle that. What is stroke in business? So stroke in business is losing the intellectual dominance of your business. What does that mean? It means that when you started your business and built it to $10 million, for example, what were you doing? You had a unique idea, you had a unique passion, you had a unique strategy that got you here. And over the years, the edge of that idea might have worn off. Over the years, you might not have been focusing on it. You might be too focused into the revenue and profit, and then you probably could have forgotten the importance of innovation in your business. So you might not be innovating anymore. And because you are not innovating, what could happen is you might have lost your competitive edge. That is what stroke is. It's reversible if you do it, if you bring in certain things, which I'll tell you in a second. But understand that your edge of innovation is lost in the jungle of business busyness. You see the word busyness. It shouldn't be busyness. It should be freedomness. Okay, maybe we should change it. Okay, so it shouldn't be busyness. The idea is not for you to be busy. The idea is for you to be free, so that you could focus your attention and your energy into innovation. Makes sense? And when you are not innovating, when you are not creating something new, somebody else is. This is what happened to Kodak. If you study the story of the Kodak, they had the best invention in the world. By the way, I wrote about it in my book 90 Days to Life. So if you want to use the link below to get 90 Days to Life, so you could hear the entire Kodak story and how that shaped that industry by them completely failing and becoming bankrupt. Same thing that happened to Blockbuster. Blockbuster had 2,000 plus stores all over the world. They became nobody. They have one store now. Netflix entirely took over the business. Why? Because people were so focused on the process and forget invention. Netflix one time towards 2000, went to Blockbuster and asked them, can you buy us out for $50 million? And you know what Blockbuster said? We are $1 billion company. We don't need you. They were just a mail order company at the time. They were sending CDs to people's home. They didn't have streaming set up quite yet. So they're like, F you. I don't want to deal with you. Just go away. $50 million? What? We are not going to give you. Now Netflix became a $300 billion company. Why? Somebody did not handle stock. Stock can kill your business too. So how do you convert stock? And stock, there is a medicine called TPI, which basically you can inject for 4 hours after you have a stroke. If you don't know about it, it's a good idea to know and recognize if somebody is having a stroke so that we could help our family. Stroke happens more often than not. So if there is stroke, if you bring them to hospital within a certain hours, and I don't know the exact hours, it's 4+, but don't wait until 3 hours and 59 minutes. But the point is that you could reverse it. Same way, you could bring in a business strategist who understands how to reverse your stroke of lack of innovation. And we have done this for multiple companies which were going and starting to lose their innovation because they were too focused into the day-to-day nitty-gritty grind. And that stopped them from innovating. And now they are flourishing and growing and building their $100 million company. Makes sense? So find a person, find an expert who can help you inject new ideas, come up with new inventions, which you already know. You might not need anybody. You can do it yourself by paying attention to that. And finally, like I said, the most important thing for a business is to stay healthy. So stay healthy. Most people, when they have a health wellness thing, they find an integrated physician, basically a physician who could integrate your health in multiple dimensions. And so integrate your physician who could help you to stay well. That is what a business mentor is for you. And that's why many businesses, even if they are average people with average intelligence, sometimes with average ideas, become really successful. And some others with the splendid idea and a bulk of arrogance becomes nobody. This is so fascinating when I look at the business world. Like the successful people are like average people like me, right? They are not the most intelligent. And if you are already intelligent, if you have the humility to get support from a coach, from a mentor who could guide you, help you take your business to the next level, you could be phenomenally successful. So the one answer for all of this thing is to hire a person as a mentor, especially if you have reached $100,000 or more. If you're doing $10 million, you must have a business strategist / mentor in your system who could help you grow your business to the next level. Otherwise, you are either too focused into the heart and you forget the lungs, or you're too focused into the lungs and then you forget the heart, or you could be focused too much into the brain and that you're not paying attention to any of this. Because the worst thing that could happen to a business is to have a stroke, an asthma attack, and a cardiac arrest at the same time. Then the business is done. It's over. And it has happened to numerous businesses, $100 million companies, $10 million companies, $1 billion companies like Blockbuster and Kodak. It happens. How do we make sure that we avoid that? I told you the 3 steps that you could use to handle that. But as an overall, most important idea is to hire a mentor. I have multiple mentors who guided me. Like I said, I'm an average guy doing extraordinary things by the grace of God. Why? Because I was willing to invest ahead into mentors who could help me build my business to the next level. They will be able to tell you, oh, you need multiple lead generation systems. You need redundancies. You need to check your calcium score. Maybe do a stress test. Maybe do kind of a EKG, or maybe do something more advanced. Maybe do an MRI or something else, so that you can prevent the stroke, the lead generation, the stroke, the invention, the lead generation, which is asthma attack, and then a cardiac arrest, which is the complete stoppage of cash flow. Look forward to listening to your feedback in the comments. And if you have any question, put that in the chat. I look forward to connecting with you next time.